You wake up in a silent room. No footsteps, no messages, no one calling your name. The house hasn't changed, but something inside you has. The silence isn't peace anymore, it's loneliness. And it cuts deeper than any noise ever could. People don't talk about this often, and maybe that's because the truth is just too hard to face. The truth is, you can grow old and find yourself entirely, completely alone. Your children might live another city so they're simply caught up in their own chaos, trying to survive. Your partner, the one you built your life with, may be gone, lost to time or circumstance. Your friends, the ones who knew the old stories, may have passed on or drifted away. And here you are sitting at the end of a long road wondering, what now? This isn't just some abstract psychological idea, this is real. This is the confrontation with the void. And it's one of the most terrifying things a human being can face. The realization that the world you once held together, piece by piece, has moved on without you. But listen to me, and listen carefully, this is not the end in number. This is the beginning of a different kind of truth, a deeper one, a brutal one, but also a redemptive one. Because in that silence you are finally forced to confront yourself. And within that confrontation, if you are brave enough to endure it, you can become something far more extraordinary than you ever were before. You see, aging is not the decaying of the body, it is the refinement of the soul. But only if you let it be. Most people, when they feel alone in old age, they start to wither psychologically. Their self-worth begins to dissolve. They tell themselves, I'm not needed anymore, or my life has passed me by. They sit in that chair near the window and stare out like prisoners in their own homes, and bit by bit they begin to vanish, internally first and then externally. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, that path is a choice. What I want to offer you today are three things, three specific things you must do when you grow old and are left alone. Not as a way to numb the pain, but to face it, to grow through it, and to become worthy of your own existence again. And if you listen, really listen, what I'm about to say could reshape the rest of your life. The first thing you must do is this. You must make peace with the silence. And I don't mean tolerate it, I mean befriend it. You have to recognize that the silence around you is no longer your enemy, it is your teacher. When you're younger, the noise of the world keeps you moving, the kids need dinner, your job demands your time, the dog barks, the phone rings, you're pulled in every direction, and without even noticing, you avoid the very thing that would have shown you who you are, the quiet. But now the world has gone quiet and you're faced with something terrifying, your own inner voice. And that voice, if left ignored long enough, becomes bitter, it becomes resentful, it whispers things like, why doesn't anyone care about me anymore? Or, maybe I don't matter. But if you truly listen to it, not to its complaints, but to what lies beneath them, you'll begin to uncover something much more profound. The silence is not there to torment you, it's there to reveal you. Take a notebook, sit in that silence, write, think, remember who you were, who you still are. Because you haven't vanished, you've just stopped hearing yourself amid the chaos. Now, with the silence pressing in, it's time to hear again. And maybe, just maybe, you'll discover that the most interesting conversations of your life have yet to be had with yourself. And that leads us to the second thing. This one is even harder. You must take responsibility for something, anything, especially now. Because the moment you relinquish responsibility, you die psychologically, you collapse. And that's not a fate anyone deserves. In youth, responsibility is often forced on us. Kids, career, finances, but in old age, no one demands it of you anymore. And that's a tragedy because the psychological need for responsibility doesn't disappear with age. In fact, it becomes even more necessary. You need to wake up in the morning and feel that something and it depends on you. Maybe it's a garden, maybe it's a daily walk where you pick up litter, along your street. Maybe it's a phone call every Tuesday to someone who is lonelier than you. You find something to serve, something small, something real. Don't believe the lie that you have nothing left to give. That's poisonous thinking. You have wisdom, you have experience, you've suffered, you've endured things younger people can't even fathom. That makes you valuable beyond measure, but only if you choose to act on it. Responsibility gives structure to suffering. It gives your day shape, it transforms I'm alone into I'm needed, and you need that more than anything else. Now, the third thing you must do when you're old and alone is perhaps the most spiritually demanding. You must forgive, not because everyone deserves it, but because you do. In old age, we carry ghosts, regret, bitterness, wounds that never close. Maybe it's the child who doesn't call anymore, maybe it's a friend who betrayed you, maybe it's your own failures, and all of that pain hardens over time at Kalchifyasan. It begins to define your character without you even realizing it. You become bitter, you start to expect disappointment, you start to look for it, you interpret every silence as rejection, every absence as abandonment, and slowly you isolate yourself, not because no one loves you, but because your pain told you they couldn't. But listen, you have the power to release that pain. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt, you don't have to excuse the wrongs that were done, but you can say, I will not let this define the last chapter of my life. Forgiveness doesn't mean you agree with the past, it means you're done letting it poison your present. And you need to let it go not for them, but for you. Because if you don't, you become a prisoner to what was. And this life, the little that remains, becomes nothing more than an echo of all the things you never got over. Is that what you want? Or do you want something better, something noble? Do you want to walk into the twilight of your life with your shoulders back, with your head held high, knowing that even in the absence of applause or recognition, you became someone worth becoming? That's the challenge of old age. It's not about retirement or pensions or bingo games or how many cruises you can afford. It's about how much courage you have left. Can you stare into the silence and see not emptiness, but depth? Can you shoulder the weight of responsibility even when no one is asking you to? Can you forgive not because it's easy, but because it's right? These are not small tasks. But you are not a small person. You've survived too much, lost too much, loved too deeply to live out the rest of your years in psychological decline. That's not a worthy end, that's not what you were made for. You were made to endure. You were made to confront the void, and even when the world has stopped asking anything of you, you can still ask something of yourself. Get up, straighten your spine, walk into the next day, not waiting for someone to save you, but choosing to be your own redeemer. And let me say this before I go, you're not as alone as you think. There are others, thousands, millions, even feeling the exact same weight you feel, watching this, searching for some spark. You are not the only one carrying this pain, but you can be one of the few who transform it. So if this spoke to you, don't just nod and move on, do something. Write a comment, tell your story, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Take one small step to reclaim your voice, because you're not done, you're not finished, and you're absolutely not alone. You still have something to offer this world, and the world still needs you, so act like it.